When it comes to leadership, I firmly believe that having the right question is more valuable than having the right answers. So in today's video, I'm gonna share the 7 questions that every CEO should ask of themselves and their team every 30 days. Trust me on this one. If you're stuck, I promise that if you ask and answer all 7 of these questions, you will get unstuck and you will start scaling again. So let's dig in, shall we? First, we have what I refer to as the great question. And that great question is this: what is the one big thing that, if accomplished, would have the most significant impact on my business and render the need for other seemingly important projects unnecessary? Now, to give credit where credit is due, this question was inspired by one of my favorite business books of all time, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Now, this question is all about focus, and focus is about deciding what you are not going to do. Because let's face it, as business owners, we often execute good ideas at the expense of truly great ideas. So, what is your one big thing? Because as Warren Buffett says, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Question number 2, the gut punch question. With the gut punch question, we ask ourselves, why are our ideal prospects, the ones who already know about us and our product, not buying from us? Is the offer unclear, unappealing? Is it undesirable or uncompetitive? Are we just trying to sell to the wrong person? Now, this question is particularly painful because it exposes our biggest problems and areas of weakness. It strips away all the excuses and leaves us bare and naked. So, why are the people who already know, like, and trust you still not buying? It's a painful question to ask, but the answer just might lead to your next big breakthrough. Up next, we have question number 3, the intensity question. The intensity question asks, in what areas of my life can I double, triple, even 10x my intensity? This question probes a little deeper and examines your personal motivations. It asks, where can you give a little more? And what's the easiest thing that you can scale right now? Maybe this is hiring 10 more people in your sales department to boost sales. Maybe it's doubling your investment in customer acquisition or showing up twice as much with your team to give them that performance boost that they need. Or maybe it's doubling your vacation time from 2 weeks to 4 weeks so that you can fully refuel your engines. Now, that may sound a little crazy, but did you know that Bill Gates takes 2 weeks a year completely away from technology and people just to read and think? And this thinking time resulted in some of Microsoft's most lucrative products and campaigns. Like in 1995, right after a 4-day retreat in a cottage, Gates wrote his famous paper, The Internet Tidal Wave, which led Microsoft to develop its internet browser and crush Netscape, making Microsoft billions in profits. Now, even if you can't go as extreme as Bill Gates and go to a cabin in the woods for an entire week of isolation, you need to have a couple of hours of thinking time each month. Because whether you like it or not, business is always moving, and if you don't steer it in the right direction, it might end up in a place that you're not very happy with. Okay, on to question number 4, the procrastination question. With this question, we are asking, what are 3 things that I haven't started yet because I'm pursuing perfection? This could be that new product launch that you stalled for 4 times because it wasn't quite right. Or that critical hire you still haven't made because you're afraid it's maybe a little too soon. Or that sales outreach that you still haven't done because you're worried the answer might be no. Either way, if you're procrastinating, there's probably a reason. And that reason may have more to do with fear than reality. So, what are you missing out on because of irrational fear? Name the excuse and call it out for the liar that it is. Then make a commitment to take action. Which brings us to question number 5, the enemy question. With this question, we're looking at our business in a mirror and asking, if I was competing against myself, what chinks in the armor would I exploit? How would I put a massive dent in my own brand if I wanted to? While some weaknesses and vulnerabilities are better hidden than others, we all have them, so there's no point in pretending we don't. So what are they for you and your business? Again, name them. Bring them to the surface, shine a bright spotlight on them, and decide if they're a vulnerability that needs to be addressed, or if it's something that can just be ignored. Not all weaknesses can be turned into strengths, but failure happens when we deny our shortcomings and pretend we're smarter and faster than we really are. And now we come to question 6, the pragmatic question. With this question, we simply ask, is our strategy not working because the strategy is bad? Or is it not working because we are simply incapable of executing this strategy due to constraints that we can't resolve at this time? Now, this question is important because sometimes we abandon a good strategy because we failed to acknowledge and address a known constraint. Whereas other times, we bang our heads against a wall, executing a poor strategy to absolute perfection. Both are recipes for failure, but it's important that we diagnose the real problem. Is the failure in the strategy itself or in the execution of the strategy? Be sure to answer this question before you pivot and definitely before you retreat. And finally, we come to question number 7, the zero-base question. With the zero-base question, we're simply asking, knowing what I know now, if I could start all over again, what changes would I make to my business model? What is preventing me from making those changes today? Now, in my experience, this is the most powerful question of all because it eliminates sunk cost bias and prevents you from throwing good money after bad. Look, we all make mistakes, but you don't have to make it back the same way that you lost it. Sometimes you just need to cut bait. You may not be able to change the past, but you can alter the future for the better, I promise. So there you have it. 7 questions you can ask yourself and your team every 30 days to get you unstuck and scaling again. And if you want to know more about scaling yourself so that you can scale your company, check out my other videos on the 4 types of founders to see what type of founder your company needs you to be today. I'll see you there.